And now I come to this seismic design requirement for the hospital. Is how the hospitals they are being categorized under these seismic zones to protection from the earthquake. And normally, practically principle is being followed. Hospital should be designed for one zone higher than their location, if they are. Means यदि वो technically zone 2 में आता है, तो हमारी जो planning है that should be according to zone 3. So from zone 1 to zone 5, and severity increases in that manner. Zone 1 is less severe, zone 2, 3, 4, 5. That. So technically, if your hospital is considered under the zone 4th, then you should be prepared for the zone 5th. That is the basic principle. And emergency response centers in the all hospitals we are supposed to create to meet all these kind of requirement. There are 4 5 as I told you. Zone normal zone is one thing. Zone 2 में the peak ground acceleration force that is a PGA. This term as a hospital administrator, if you know, that is a good thing for you. Zone 2, that is a low part, and peak ground acceleration is 0.10. And regions, for example, are Chennai, Bangalore. Zone 3, that is a moderate 0.16. Mumbai, Hyderabad. Delhi is in the zone 4, that is 0.24. Delhi, Pune. And zone 5, very high, that is Guwahati and Srinagar. So if we plan or if we start to construct the hospital, we have to take care of all kind of necessary instruction which has been given into the National Building Code, in which in particular zone, which kind of building, which kind of beam, which kind of support system are supposed to be installed in these areas. So that is the importance of this. You must understand what is the PGA. That is the peak ground acceleration. And what is that? This is a key metric in the earthquake engineering that measures the maximum ground shaking intensity during an earthquake. It is expressed as a percentage of gravity. Okay, percentage of gravity, normal percentage force is 9.8. तो उसका जितना भी परसेंटेज से अर्थ मूव करता है, that is called PGA, peak ground acceleration. 0.254 यदि उसका G है, तो that is the 24% of the Earth's gravitational force. उतनी स्पीड से जो अर्थ है वो हॉरिजेंटली मूव करेगा. So that is the peak ground acceleration force. So this is one word which you are supposed to know. Then few standards. Just I mentioned that you can refer the book, but there is no point to discuss all that things. ISO 1893 Part 1 2006 criteria for the earthquake resistant design of structure. IS 13920 2016 ductiles detailing of the reinforcement concrete structures. That is a seismic retrofitting. मतलब already the hospital बन चुके हैं, they have not followed the these seismic norms. Then again that some improvisation can be done. That is called as retrofitting. But even after that, still retrofitting, lot of other things are there. So that you can refer from this particular chapter. National Building Code. I suggest everybody just to go through this part 6, structural design, section 1, load and all. And a hospital must follow the importance factor. This is one formula. An importance factor that is 1.5. That is higher than the standard buildings. The design based shear for a hospital is calculated as the V. V is a force. And uska this is a formula. Zone factor, already I have told you. Zone 2 hai, zone 3 hai. Based on that gravitational force, you can write the value. I is the importance factor, which I told you that is standard for the hospital that's supposed to be taken as the 1.5. Spectral acceleration, ये भी एक रिकॉर्ड होता है जो आपको वहाँ का जो लोकल एजेंसी है दे विल टेल यू. रिस्पॉन्स डिटेक्शन फैक्टर, डक्टिलिटी ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर, इसको भी कैलकुलेट करने का देयर इज सम सेपरेट फार्मूला. एंड टोटल वेट ऑफ बिल्डिंग इस तरीके से करके देन यू कैन कैलकुलेट दिस डिजाइन बेस्ड शेयर. मतलब how the hospital or any building they are compatible with the earthquake and all that. So this is just for the basic understanding to understand, make you understand. Otherwise, if you want to go into the detail, you can go with this NBC code part 6, where all these kind of detail has been given. यहाँ पे I cannot cover the each and everything. Otherwise, it becomes difficult for to grab and complete this particular part. And what are the practical implications to understand all these kind of things? Now you can understand. Zone 5 hospital may need base isolation because these are the most severe seismic zone. Lead rubber bearing, shear walls, bracing, all these kind of to resist lateral PGA force. In the zone 5 lateral PGA force भी बहुत हाई होता है, तो वहां पे ये इस टाइप की ब्रेसिंग की जरूरत है. फिर नॉन स्ट्रक्चरल सेफ्टी डेट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. जैसे हम बहुत सारे इक्विपमेंट हॉस्पिटल में यूज करते हैं, ईसीजी सीटी मशीन हो गया, एमआरआई मशीन हो गया, एक्सरे बड़े मशीन्स हो गए, सस्पेंडेड लाइट्स हो गए, सीलिंग्स हो गए. तो इनकी भी हमें एंकरिंग दैट इज सपोज टू बी डन बेस्ड ऑन दैट दिस सिस्मिक एक्टिविटी. यदि जोन फोर्थ में तो ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि जरा सा भी हल्का सा मूवमेंट आने से, पीजीए बढ़ने से आपकी जो मशीनें हैं दे स्टार्ट क्रम्बलिंग, दे स्टार्ट फॉलिंग डाउन, समथिंग लाइक दैट. So based on that seismic zone, you have to ensure, you have to do anchoring of this machine, investigation machines or various other things. They are supposed to be taken care of in that manner. Retrofitting, already I have told you, that is the steel jacking of weak columns in case of building has already been created and some reinforcement is required. So these kind of facilities available. Retrofitting for the older hospital, steel jacketing of the weak columns, वो किया जाता है. That provision is there. That all thing can be done by some civil engineer part, but at least being a hospital administrator or something, you have some kind of idea, so that when there is a discussion part, you must understand what is that. And sorry, बहुत सारे लोगों का actually they entered the last and I couldn't allow them to. मैं कर नहीं पाया, थोड़ा सा लेट हो गया. Sorry for that. Okay. Now we come to the third part, that is the infrastructure engineering and engineering planning. That is the third part of planning of the hospital. And under this chapter, we say this earthquake resistant, flood proofing, MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing system. यहाँ पे we will cover this HVAC and the medical gas pipeline, multi-fold gas line system. HVAC is the heat ventilation and humidity, all these kind of climatic control, air conditioning. So this is the very important system for any hospital. So we will take some so in more detail this HVAC system, and we will discuss about this metal gas pipeline also. Then third part is the biomedical and the IT infrastructure, how networking is supposed to be done, how we can implement the EHR, or how we can provision this EHR system and medical equipment integration also. So these are the three part in this infrastructure and the engineering planning. So first we take earthquake resistant, that has been covered actually in the seismic part, how we can take care of that. And flood proofing again, that will be dealt in the later part. Today I will take the medical gas pipeline system, MGPS. Many of the people who are exposed to the hospital environment or working in the hospital, they understand जब भी आप हॉस्पिटल में जाते हो वहां पे इस टाइप की गैस लाइन बहुत अलग अलग डिफरेंट डिफरेंट कलर की गैस लाइन आपको दिखती है. एंड मोस्ट कॉमनली एरिया फॉर दिस पाइपलाइंस आर द आईसीयू, वॉट एवर द क्रिटिकल एरियाज देयर, दे आर द आईसीयूज हो गया, एसएनसीयूज हो गया, एनी क्रिटिकल एरिया वहां पे दिस पाइपलाइन सिस्टम्स आर देयर. And after this COVID, government has made mandatory all the beds they are supposed to be supported by this at least oxygen line. ठीक है? Why? क्योंकि COVID में we have seen what is the situation of the oxygen, and when we used to give oxygen through this cylinder, so you can understand the wastage, you can understand the availability of the things, all that kind of things. Issues are there. So that's why this pipeline system is superior than the conservative system. एंड बेसिकली जो इसमें गैस लाइंस होती हैं, ऑक्सीजन है, नाइट्रस ऑक्साइड है, मेडिकल एयर है एंड वैक्यूम, ये इनकी हमें जरूरत होती है. वैक्यूम, ऑक्सीजन, ये मोस्ट कॉमन है. नाइट्रस ऑक्साइड वी आर यूजिंग फॉर दिस एनेस्थीसिया पर्पस, बट वैक्यूम सक्शन में वी नीड सम काइंड ऑफ वैक्यूम, तो सक्शन में इट इज यूजफुल. एंड ऑक्सीजन इज, एज यू नो, इट इज important in case of any person who is facing this less oxygen saturation in the blood. So that system is very much important. And after this COVID, market of this particular gas pipeline, multifold metal gas pipeline system, that is being increased. So these are some color you must know. These are the important things. And during the assessment or during the inspection of the NABH, we used to check the color. जैसे oxygen का, you must remember कि its color, pipeline color is white and medical vacuum का yellow. These two basic colors you must remember. These are the most common color which are supposed to be, which are being utilized in the hospital. So you should not be anytime confused. Oxygen is white and the medical vacuum is, that is yellow color. Nitrous oxide is slightly bluish kind of color, and nitrogen is black, and medical carbon dioxide is slightly gray kind of thing. But most commonly we are using oxygen, nitrous oxide, and the medical vacuum. So in any word, जब भी आप next time you go to the hospital, you just look at the gas pipeline system कि कौन कौन से कलर का कहाँ पे जा रहा है. So it will give you some kind of basic understanding. And color coding is why it is important. Why color coding is important? क्योंकि जो या इसका जो सिस्टम होता है, गैस पाइपलाइन सिस्टम होता है, अल्टीमेटली जो इस पाइपलाइन में जो गैस आ रही है, वो आ रही है सिलेंडर के थ्रू, बट सिलेंडर्स आर फिल्ड बाय द आपके प्लांट्स के थ्रू होते हैं, फिल्ड होते हैं. तो इट शुड नॉट बी मिसमैच काइंड ऑफ थिंग कि ऑक्सीजन वाली पाइपलाइन में आपने मेडिकल मतलब वैक्यूम भेज दिया और वैक्यूम वाले में कुछ और चला गया. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. हेलो. हाँ.
Yeah, I'm speaking with Mr. Yogesh Chandra.
हाँ.
Yes, my name.
So these colors are, in that point of view, these are the importance, and we have to create lot of checking system for doing some kind of daily routine check of this pipe system. And when you go into the hospital, you will see the this pipeline system is not a very simple kind of system. At the different floor, different regulators and the all valve system, everything is available. तो जो आपका बायोमेडिकल इंजीनियर है, इट इज हिज प्राइमरी जॉब टू चेक ऑल दिस gas pipeline system and do daily check so that he can identify whether there is any kind of leak or something like that. That is very important part of that. You must understand this. अब की कंपोनेंट जो गैस होल्ड के होते हैं फॉर समझने के लिए, एज आई टोल्ड यू, ऑक्सीजन प्लांट, गैस सोर्स आपके पास कहाँ से आएंगे? ऑक्सीजन प्लांट से गैस आ सकती है, सिलेंडर से आ सकते हैं, मैनीफोल्ड से आ सकते हैं, मतलब बैंक हम बनाते हैं, हाँ, बैंक वन बैंक टू जहाँ पे हम सिलेंडर रखते हैं. फिर पाइपलाइन नेटवर्क, कॉपर जो पाइपलाइन जा रही है, कॉपर पाइप फॉर द ऑक्सीजन, स्टेनलेस स्टील फॉर द वैक्यूम. फिर अलार्म सिस्टम होता है कि इफ एनी काइंड ऑफ प्रेशर इज लो और सम टाइम देयर इज एनी काइंड ऑफ लीकेज, तो एक देयर मस्ट बी सम काइंड ऑफ अलार्म सिस्टम व्हिच अलार्म द हॉस्पिटल कि देयर इज सम प्रॉब्लम विद द दिस पाइपलाइन. फिर टर्मिनल यूनिट होंगे, जैसे so बेसमेंट में सपोज आपका गैस पाइपलाइन सिस्टम वहां से स्टार्ट हो रहा है, बट इट हैज टू गो द डिफरेंट पार्ट ऑफ द हॉस्पिटल. तो जो टर्मिनल यूनिट है एट द आउटलेट्स ऑफ द बेड, आईसीयूज, ओटी, वहां पे भी आपके टर्मिनल यूनिट होंगे जहां वॉल्व लगे होंगे फ्रॉम वेयर द प्रेशर कैन बी कंट्रोल और द फ्लो ऑफ द गैसेस कैन बी कंट्रोल. वॉल्व्स एंड द गैस कंट्रोल पैनल्स, ये पैनल के रूप में हर एक जगह लगा होता है, so that you can control, you can see the pressure of the gas, you can check whether all the pipe they are containing the same kind of gas what they are supposed to that. So basically these valve and control panel, they regulate the uh, gas pressures and all, which is very much required in the critical areas. Then if we talk about the compliance and the standard of this gas pipeline, Bureau of BIS said, that is Bureau of Indian Standard IS 7396. इसमें everything has been given the detail. But as a hospital administrator, we are not supposed to go into so much of detail. उसमें बहुत बहुत ज्यादा metal वगैरह everything has been specified. That is actually not required. National Building Code, वो already I have told you कि you if you read that particular part 6, that is very good for you. Fire and safety regulation that covers in case of fire how you can protect this gas pipelines and all that. ISO 7396, that is the internal national standard for design and the installation. जहाँ पे पाइप के डिजाइन उनको कैसे फिटिंग में लगाना है, ऑल दैट काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स हैज बीन डायरेक्टेड। फिर एनएबीएच की कुछ गाइडलाइंस हैं, डीजीएचएस की कुछ गाइडलाइंस हैं विच आर रिक्वायर्ड फॉर दिस accreditation, mandatory for accreditation, कलर कोडिंग। एनएबीएच में बेसिकली वी सी द कलर कोडिंग, कलर कोडिंग प्रॉपर है, ऑल दैट काइंड ऑफ थिंग। तो वो थोड़ा सा आपको समझने का जरूरत है, विच ऑलरेडी आई हैव टोल्ड कलर रिगार्डिंग द कलर सिस्टम। This short learning by real skill coding and this coding का reversely double check कोर्स मैं जगह पे कोर्स अभी कैसे हम टेस्ट करेंगे, लेबलिंग is required and backup system is most important thing. Why? Sometime some disaster or some fire may be there and patient को आपको ऐसे एरिया से मूव करना है, even sometimes you have to evacuate the ICU also, ICU से patient को बाहर निकालना, यू हैव टू शिफ्ट समवेयर एल्स, तो उसका कुछ बैकअप आपके पास होना चाहिए। यू मस्ट हैव ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर्स इन द सफिशिएंट नंबर आल्सो, इन केस if oxygen cylinders or all these kind of cylinders if they are needed while in the transportation, that is supposed to be used. And because of that, government has mandated this thing. Every hospital or every medical college, they are supposed to have some oxygen plant itself, oxygen hospital या inbuilt जो medical college है, वहीं पे source पे ही oxygen बनना चाहिए. If we talk about the cost terms, it is not very cost effective. It was very long discussion when the COVID time it was being strictly said by the government to install this oxygen plant. So many persons they have approached the government regarding the cost effectiveness. So later on, various different kind of models they have been developed or they have been created in the market considering the cost effectiveness. So that is very important. Which cost may be suited to you. And ये जो गैस पाइपलाइन सिस्टम है, ऑक्सीजन कंसंट्रेटर या ऑक्सीजन प्लांट है, that all depends upon the capacity of your hospital, bed capacity of your hospital. That's why it is also, it is initially it is planned. Once the hospital has been built, then it becomes very difficult to plan. So that is why it has already been, it is being covered with the hospital planning. जब आप हॉस्पिटल की प्लानिंग करोगे तो बेड के हिसाब से सारी चीजों की आपको प्लानिंग करनी पड़ती है। तो that is why it is important. Then we talk about the safety and the risk mitigation. फायर सेफ्टी, जो पाइप है एंड जो बहुत सारे इसमें आइटम यूज हो रहे हैं, डेट वी आर सपोज टू नॉन इन्फ्लेमेबल आइटम होने चाहिए। ओके, दे आर सेपरेट फ्रॉम द इलेक्ट्रिकल लाइंस, so there should be less chance of the fire hazards and all that. एंड इमरजेंसी शट ऑफ होना चाहिए, जो इन्वॉल्व एसेसिबल टू स्टाफ। कई बार ऐसा होता है, इट इज अ वेरी कॉमन काइंड ऑफ एरर इन द हॉस्पिटल प्रैक्टिकली इफ यू वर्क, कि हॉस्पिटल में कोई इशू हो गया एंड हमको सेकंड फ्लोर पे तो वो चाहिए, गैस चाहिए, बट वी डोंट नीड एट द फर्स्ट फ्लोर, बट वी डोंट हैव एनी सिस्टम। तो गैस जो है वो सेम टाइम हर एक फ्लोर में चल रही होती है, एंड दैट इज प्योरली द वेस्टेज ऑफ द गैस। दैट इज ऑल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट कि you have to check, you must understand कि zone wise wall facility should be there, and which is known to the staff, so that at the time of requirement that can be switch on, and if it doesn't need, then it can be switch off also to avoid the wastage. Training is very important. Biomedical, this is a part of the biomedical engineer. तो बायोमेडिकल इंजीनियर के साथ जो भी टीम है उनको इसके बारे में जानकारी होनी चाहिए, सारे इमरजेंसी प्रोटोकॉल्स पता होने चाहिए। So regular training must be conducted and basic awareness is required by everybody. Audit, as I told you, कि leak, pressure drops, alarm functionality, ये एक चेकलिस्ट बना के बायोमेडिकल इंजीनियर ऑन डेली बेसिस पे वो इसको चेक करता है। दैट इज द routine job of the one of the routine job of the biomedical engineer. Under his guidance and or under the supervision, he create one kind of checklist, and based on that, he do the regular audit of the various area of the hospital. So that as a hospital administrator, what is your responsibility? You must ensure कि आपके यहाँ रेगुलर ऑडिट हो रहा है। एंड हाउ कैन यू इंश्योर? whatever the audit has been done by the biomedical engineers team, that is supposed to come to the medical administrator or the hospital administrator, so that you can make sure ki where is the fault, and audit is going on regular. As a training is also the responsibility of the hospital administrator. He must ensure that training should be given at a periodical interval. And जो भी training आप दो, that should be documented in the personal document, personal file of the individual. That is very, very much important. Okay, when something goes wrong, if some fire or something goes, some kind of things happens. Okay, all these training they are going to help you in the code. Even given proper training to the staff, this casualty happens. Otherwise, code they just want to some gaps. कि कहाँ पे gap है, and they just pick that gap, and based on that gap they impose the financial liability or some kind of imprisonment to the concerned people. So as a hospital administrator, first you have to understand the weak point, bottleneck areas, and then you have to cover that bottleneck areas with your vision and wisdom, creating various kind of checklists, training, and all that kind of thing. Okay. Then a few challenges in the Indian hospital system, poor maintenance. हम वी कैन टॉक अबाउट कि बायोमेडिकल इंजीनियर ऐसा करता है, उसको ऐसा करना चाहिए, बट यू नो द standard of the, or you can understand the functioning of the Indian hospital, small hospital. I'm not talking about the big corporate hospitals and all that, but the nursing home, they are very less staff because of the cost factor. For hiring a simple person, they have to think multiple times. तो होता क्या है कि वो एक ही आदमी से they used to do multitasking. कि एक इलेक्ट्रिक वाला आदमी है, he is also managing the gas pipeline, he is also operating the generator, he is also operating the biomedical waste management. तो वहां पे जो मल्टी स्किलिंग लोग कराते हैं ना, इन द स्मॉल हॉस्पिटल्स और द नर्सिंग होम, दैट इज वेरी harmful, that can create also, that can cause sometimes very harmful situation. So as a hospital administrator, you have to make the balance in between that. ठीक है, वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि हमें हमारे पास जो रिसोर्सेज हैं उन रिसोर्सेज में वी हैव टू फंक्शन ऑप्टिमली, बट सेम टाइम वी शुड आल्सो चेक एज ए हॉस्पिटल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर, security should not be compromised in any manner. We have to make shift the arrangement, and presently now because of this technology and all that, we can fill these gaps very easily, at least the human crisis of the human crisis, something like that. In adequate training of the staff on the MGPS training part in the hospital में आप जाओगे ना, and believe me if you ask कि गैस पाइपलाइन पे कोई ट्रेनिंग हुई है, मैक्सिमम हॉस्पिटल में विल फाइंड कि उस टाइप की ट्रेनिंग कोई डेडिकेटेड ट्रेनिंग करते ही नहीं है लोग. So that is also very 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 serious issue. As a hospital administrator you must ensure कि ये सारी चीजें हों. फिर जो IS 7396 है, which you read, and then you can understand what are the clause and the safety condition has been given. If वहां पे कोई compromise है, non compliance है, then it can cause some risk to the patient. So as a hospital administrator, you also supposed to check that area. And overloading pipeline, and you can easily understand this is only the poor planning. When we are planning, in the planning stage, we are not planning. Suppose we are going to plan for the 400 bed, or हम जो pipeline का system में we have just planned for the 200 bed. So that is a poor kind of planning. तो फिर then there is a chance of overloading, and if overloading is there, then you will get some reduced pressure or something like that. All these issues are going to be happen. So in the planning stage, as hospital administrator, you can at least just have a oversight on all these aspects, whether load is matching with the hospital requirement or not. That is the important thing for the hospital administration. And few things you can I can recommend, or as a hospital administrator, you must understand periodic testing is required as per the ISO 739. You must ensure centralized monitoring, real time alarms or gas supply. It is supposed to be checked by the hospital administrator. Not means he is not supposed to check, but whatever the teams they are checking, medical administrator or the hospital administrator, they are supposed to cross check or the verify that whether things are in the place and the routine activities are being followed or not. disaster preparedness, backup O2 supply for the ICU and OT. So in the disaster part, disaster will be covered in the separate. It is very difficult to shift the patient from the ICU. As you know, in the ICU, most of the patient they are on the support system, they are on the ventilator, they are on the oxygens and all, and even in the OT also. Once suppose some operation is going on, critical operation is going on, and कोई earthquake आ गया, and there is a chance of कि कुछ गड़बड़ हो सकता है, then you have to shift the patient, you have to shift the place also. So for that shifting, you must do some kind of the disaster planning. If something goes something like that, then at least you can take some action. But in present time, as you see, with the artificial intelligence and all that, now we are able to somehow, not exactly 100%. I am not saying ki 100% we can predict the incidence or the occurrence of such incidents, but at least we have some kind of idea. And in that case, if there is a planned surgery, we can postpone or we can delay that surgeries if there is any chance of the disaster or something like that. Otherwise, we have to arrange some makeshift arrangement where in case of emergency, surgery can be continued. And whenever you select the vendor for this installation of this MGPS, you must ensure that this should be the BIS certified, Bureau of Indian Standard. That is very, very important to understand these things. अभी आपने 2-3 दिन पहले 4 दिन पहले एक घटना पड़ी हुई, हालांकि that incident is not relevant for this gas pipeline system, but एक सर्जन था, he is doing surgery, but then mostly in the Bangalore somewhere 3-4 days back incidents, and he was doing some critical surgery. But हुआ क्या कि during the surgery itself, that surgeon has consumed something which created the gastroenteritis in the surgeon. On the last night, he was in some party and he has consumed some kind of food part which caused the gastroenteritis. So during the surgery itself, उसका जो BP है, it was just falling down and he feel giddiness. Now you can imagine the main surgeon who is doing the surgery, if his situation is something like that, how he can continue. So as per his version, because surgery could not be left in between, he told his support staff कि put a IV drop, put a IV drip. उसने अपने पैर में IV drip लगवाया, क्योंकि डॉक्टर यदि हाथ से काम कर रहा है तो हाथ में तो नहीं लगा सकता, तो वो बैठ के, बिकॉज ही वाज डूइंग सर्जरी सिटिंग इन द सिटिंग पोजीशन, तो उसने पैर में ही पुट द आईवी ड्रिप, एंड आईवी ड्रिप लगाने के बाद फिर उसका जो सैचुरेशन था एंड जो उसका डिहाइड्रेशन था एंड दिस ड्राउजीनेस एंड ऑल दैट रिकवर्ड एंड ही परफॉर्म द सर्जरी. If you see the patient, how many of you are convinced with such kind of effort, whatever the doctor has put? Well, do you think he has done the correct thing, or any other opinion? Somebody is in the other opinion कि हाँ उसने ऐसा किया तो ठीक किया, और किसी और के ओपिनियन कि उसको ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए because he has taken the chance with the patient safety. What is your opinion?
Not at all, sir. But I think at the first go, he should not do the surgery part because he was not well. And he was well aware that he was not keeping well. And this thing aggravated during the surgery. So he should have avoided the surgery part initially only. And later on, whatever he did, it was commendable. But initially only he should have stopped the surgery or postponed the surgery if it was not critical.
Okay. Okay, that is one point. If it is not critical, but when the surgery is critical, then sometimes you have to do that.
We can always ask for the secondary doctors. There must be a panel of doctors for the same surgery. There must be other surgeons also. So he could have done it.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to share something? Yeah, actually, this is if you go into the research or something like that, this is a issue of the ethical consideration. जैसे एक कॉमन एग्जांपल हमने बचपन में कई बार पढ़ा होगा कि वन ट्रेन which has thousand of the passengers in the train and the one person who is on the track. Okay, now there is choice कि either train can be derailed, it has to be derailed to save the person, or it has to crush the person. Now it's the choice कि आपको क्या करना है. तो वहां पे ये सारे ethical principle आते हैं कि you have to see the maximum beneficence means जिससे ज्यादातर लोगों को फायदा हो रहा है, you have to opt that option. इट शुड नॉट बी लाइक दैट कि जिससे हमें एक आदमी को फायदा हो रहा. तो जो ये आपके एथिक्स के जो तीन चार जो प्रिंसिपल हैं कि इट शुड नॉट हार्म एनीबॉडी, इट शुड बी मैक्सिमली बेनिफिशियल टू द अदर्स, एंड थर्ड वी हैव टू रेस्पेक्ट द कंसेंट ऑफ द people who are involved in any kind of research and all that kind of things. So consent is also very much important. Even minor kind of survey, whatever the survey we are doing, usme bhi we need to proper kind of consent from the responders. So that is the ethical kind of requirement. So if you see in the ethical parlance of this particular surgery scenario, there are various situations. Surgery may be critical, and as told, there might not be other doctors who are available for this surgery. Lot of things are there, and one thing is that if doctor surgeon who is already informed his condition is not good, so of course he can do some better planning for that patient also. So it is all. But in the hospital scenario, maximum many times you see such kind of tricky situation where you have to take the decision based on the uh, some kind of ethical issues also, and some kind of the sometimes some societal pressures also. You have to take decision according to that. Okay, so today I think I should stop at this place, and in the next lecture we will talk about this havoc planning. Okay, it's a long havoc planning is slightly in the longer part, and it is very important thing for the hospital. So I want to take this lecture in the next topic in the next session. Okay, in the 5-10 minutes or 15 minutes, it's not feasible to cover this topic, and it is one of the most important aspect of the hospital. So
Sir,
please don't miss the next class. Yes, please.
sir, Jain sir. Sir, how was sir?
Yeah.
On the light, just on the lighter side, sir, we have seen that movie Kabir Singh also, sir. I mean, it's a very,
Uh,
very content kind of a thing, what we have just discussed, sir. Just on the lighter
yes.
side, sir.
Yeah, that is very true. That is very true.
Sir,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
Okay,
sir.
so wish you everybody a very happy Independence Day in advance, and just Janashtami also. We will meet on 19th with this havoc planning, and please do attend this class. That havoc planning is important to understand for the hospital administrator, as well as it is very important part of the hospital. Okay, thank you to all of you, and good night.
Thank you, sir.
Good night. Night.